this molecule will give you a bit of dopamine, and now we have to test it in humans, and it'll go into studies of depression, particularly those with those patients who do have problems with energy, can't get up in the morning, don't have drive, can't focus, poor attention, and who just don't have interest in life.
Hello, you're watching Proactive. I'm joined by Solvonis Therapeutics Chief Scientific Officer, Professor David Nutt. David, very good to speak with you, and congratulations on your latest news. The announcement states that SVN15 performs similarly to fluoxetine, or Prozac as it's better known. Can you explain a bit about how strong that result is in practical terms and what it realistically tells us about the chances of success in human trials?
Well, we're very pleased because this is the first study we have done in a validated model of depression, obviously in rodents. We're putting it head to head with one of the most established and effective antidepressants of the SSRI class, and it performed as well with the same dose range. So that is exciting, because when you have a new kind of molecule, which SVN15 is, you're never sure whether the extra bits you've put into the molecule will be good or bad. We assume they're going to be good, but of course you can't predict. So it turns out that they're certainly not bad. And what we need to do now is see whether we can demonstrate in other models that the pro-dopamine effects actually does give value in a way which will hope then translate into extra efficacy in humans.
What clear benefits do you expect SVN15 to deliver that current antidepressants don't, especially for patients who don't respond well to SSRIs, and how will you prove that clinically?
So this molecule is a very unusual molecule. Companies have been searching for this elusive serotonin dopamine reuptake blocker for a very long time, and they have not succeeded. And the reason they've been searching is that the dopamine system plays an important role in certain features of depression, particularly the fatigue, the loss of energy, and the loss of what we call hedonic tone. People don't enjoy things. So where SSRIs like Prozac can stop you feeling depressed, they don't give you the buzz. They don't put the zing back into life. And we have been arguing for 30 years that a bit of dopamine would do that. And this molecule will give you a bit of dopamine. And now we have to test it in humans. And it'll go into studies of depression, particularly those with those patients who do have problems with energy, can't get up in the morning, don't have drive, can't focus, poor attention, and who just don't have interest in life.
In terms of the targets for SVN15, are the most likely candidates newly diagnosed patients or those who haven't responded well to existing antidepressants? And secondly, how would that choice impact the commercial opportunity?
Well, the way new antidepressants tend to be brought in, particularly if they've got a new mode of action, is generally to use them in people who haven't done so well on the old ones. So that would, I think, be the most sensible way forward, because that's still a huge unmet need. We know that about 50% of people treated with SSRIs like Prozac don't make a full recovery, or are left with those residual symptoms, which we think are due to the dopamine system not working very well. So I think that would be the sensible place to target. But it's quite possible that this dual action drug will have a broader effect even in people who haven't had prior exposure to antidepressants. So I think in the end, it's going to be a commercial decision. If we get enough investors, we might well go straight for all depressives.
David, how does the once daily oral at-home profile change the risk reward compared with newer clinical-based depression treatments? And how does that affect scale, cost, and payer acceptance?
Well, we spent the last 50 years using drugs which people take at home once a day with good effect. So if we get better effect than previous daily antidepressants, then we will actually be in a really strong position. Okay, up till now, we've been developing these new fast-acting, short treatment doses approaches with things like ketamine and psychedelics, but they're out of necessity because current antidepressants don't work as well as we hoped. This dual-acting drug could well move, shift the dial. So in fact, we might end up having better outcomes, and so perhaps not need as much or as frequently dose with these up and coming new, rather novel treatments.
David, congratulations again on this latest milestone. I hope you'll keep us updated with the progress.
Certainly will. Thank you.
That's Professor David Nutt, Chief Scientific Officer at Solvonis Therapeutics.